This link which you sent me is general webinar. So you sent me the wrong link, I guess. So, or I haven't sent you the wrong link, you see?
No, it's fine. That's the one that it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. All right, we can wait.
Oh.
To 7:05, and if not, we can start. Maggie, Ivan, can you hear?
You can turn on the video here. Are we recording? No. Did you put?
No. I'm just presenting.
Alan, Maggie, can you hear us? Okay, so we are not recording, I can talk. So we are using your computer for what?
For just presenting.
Just
Ideally, yeah.
Okay, so can you like manage, because I don't know how to use
So
it.
then we are recording. Yeah. All right. Hello. Right now, there's not a lot of people, but we can start, and you can watch this webinar after. And if you have any questions, you can comment that on the post that we're going to make on the Facebook group, and then we can answer them as we go. So I guess we can start. So hello, my name is Patricia. I'm the MCVP Digital Marketing for Isaac in Australia, the MC term 1718.
So hey guys, so I'm Kasper and I'm originally from Poland, and currently right now I'm MCVP Partnership Development, but in previous semester I was MCVP Marketing. Yay.
Yay. All right. So expectations for this space. You will have, oh my God, sorry. I cannot see. Okay, so there's no people here, so just know that you'll have access to the slides. You can ask questions at the end if you have any, or after watching the record, and enjoy. So what we'll be going over today is, first of all, the history from 2013 to up to now. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the 1718 context and what happened in the first half of our term, then 2018 plan and goals, and then a little bit about the network and the trends for 2018. And then if there's any questions, we'll open the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll start with history, and right now I will tell you something more about like 2013 and 2014 term. So on the left, like on the slide, you have like timeline, yes? So we have like July, like September, Jan, March, July. And on the left of the timeline, you have like a major, let's say, touch points. So like MC back then, they start July and we had national conference. Then like LC, they start 2014. So it was like back then December, they termed on December. Then we have January National Conference and Regional State Conference. Yeah, and on the right, you can see, so with, let's say, yellow squares, you have like summer peak, and with white squares, you have like winter peaks. So back then, of course, we have like RERA and MAS, so that's why it's this description. And also, could you come back? Yes. So like starting from first point, so we have centralized websites. So I assume that like before, like LCs, they have own websites, and during this term we centralized, so we have one national website. Then we also organized 50th anniversary celebrations. That's what we know, that there was like biggest event, and we invite like all alumni. So there was like huge focus on this event. Unfortunately, what I know that we didn't have, let's say, the results in terms of like number of exchanges or something like that after this event. Then we also had launch of national campaigns, so we started to do like national campaigns, not only local ones. We had growth through OGX process optimization. So actually we focused to make it more simple and like simple to understand for the network and to faster to optimize our processes. We also had Go Global brand refresh. Off-peak email campaign. So we started to send emails to our potential EPs, like not only during peak, but also like during off-peak to create the awareness about the product. Then we also have beginning of Sydney tracks and national touchpoints. So we had like Start Summit back then and January National Conference. And we have purpose of why to business was upscaling.
Youth to business.
Youth and what I said.
Why to business?
Okay, sorry. Youth to business, obviously. Yeah, so back then we organized youth to business, and the purpose of this event was just to upscale the current TN partners.
Cool. So for 14-15, there was a second website centralization. So it was like the version 2. And then they continued the national campaigns, so the creation and actually driving it through the Facebook, which at that point was not merged yet, but they had like materials and stuff for the LCs to use. That was continued, and that was also when ISEC Global, like ISEC International, we were branded as an organization from Global Citizen, Global Leader, Global Talent. And in this year, they also started the beginning of B2B marketing. They increased more touch points with the network. So more things like operational summits, the commission chats also after, in between touch points, like physical touch points. They started, that was when Expa started coming into place in end of 2014 throughout 2015. So that's when all the change management from myisec.net to Expa started happening. And that's when they got rid of EOI forms. So we only sent people to isec.org. There was a minus focus on youth speak survey, and youth to business evolved for both partners and youth. So I'm not 100% sure on what the evolvement was. Again, for context, Kasper and I are both internationals, and we were not here in this point, so we are talking to you from the things that we got during transition, and also from the things that have come up during our term as well. At the same time, ISEC changes every single year, so these things are good for context, but a lot of things have changed that you probably won't even talk about in the 18-19 term. So just to keep that in mind.
So right now I will tell you more about 2015-16. So we had like MC team structure evolving. So like we assumed that there were like changes in MC in terms of like marketing. Then commission chats. So they started, let's say, weekly, I think weekly chats with the commission. Then introduce SOP and lead nurturing. So we started like do something specific in terms of like getting more opens and converting them for applicants by lead nurturing. And then we also have introduced and eliminated application forms. So do you remember what happened with that?
Yeah, so for the lead nurturing, there was a process that the MC was lead nurturing the leads, and then the LCs would contact them like a week after that. So there was a week in between where the MC had a flow of emails that would nurture the leads, while the LCs would wait for a week and then call them after they have received all these emails. And they reintroduced the EOIs, but then they eliminated it again, the application form. So actually, to become more aligned with the ISEC brand and the global direction as well. So they eliminated EOI forms on this term again.
Yeah, and then we switched with the focus, and back then we had focus on youth speak. So the amount of responses was really high, I would say. Then also we focus on organizing national campaigns because it works pretty well. Then we started Purposeful Partnerships. And what does it mean? It is like simply, it means that we started to collaborate with the, let's say, companies, organization with similar values and purpose to ISEC, because we back then we had this campaign rebranding Youth Australian, and we want to like create awareness about youth in Australia, and also we focus on Youth Speak Forum. So we started to like create these initiatives. And then I believe it was like some issue with like EST, so it was like underperforming EST back then. Then we had BD content seeders, because back then the MC, they had a lot of seeders in many areas. Then we have OGX Marketing Summit, so actually it was like maybe the beginning of the synergy. B2B content and newsletters. So the MC back then, they started to focus not only on, let's say, B2C, but also B2B. So marketing was for not only for OGV, but for the like all products. And website adopted global theme. Do you want to say something about that? Because I'm not sure.
So ISEC.org has a global theme that they released at that point, where everyone, like we were not centralizing the website to ISEC.org, but everyone could have their own national website. They released a template for ISEC.org that each national each MC could use it for the national ISEC for their website. So that's when they adopted the global theme. So that like blue, and the same way that ISEC.org was structured pretty much.
Yeah, and then we had future goals. So ISEC in Australia, it was very known from this hashtag. As I mentioned like before, we have like youth rebranding Youth Australian, so there was like focus on these awareness and campaigns. Then I believe we had like media appearances, and of course like Youth Speak Forum evolution. Yes, so that's why we had like focus on Youth Speak survey and like huge focus on Youth Speak Forum instead of Y2B. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add?
No. All right. For 16-17, that was last year's MC. So they had a couple of evolving MC structures. So they started the beginning of the term as B2C and B2B with 2 MCs focusing on that. But then later on, they realized that B2B was not really being successful. So they changed it to digital experience and and marketing, like youth marketing. So they had for the rest of the term they had digital experience. So one person focusing on everything that had to do with digital, and then one person focusing on everything that had to do with network management, physical touch points, and things like Youth for Global Goals or Youth Speak road shows and things like that. So we moved from host servers. So we moved from the one that we had before, which was WordPress, into Webflow, because other entities had this type of website and it was more user friendly. So it was easier to actually change and have more mobility with the landing pages. So it was easier to create more landing pages, more specific for the campaigns that we were doing, etc., etc. The EST, they had low capacity for creating the amount of content that was supposed to be on the Facebook page and on the social media channels. But at the same time, it was their first time that they had digital marketing EST. So if you look at number 7, they created digital marketing EST because they started centralizing the Facebook page. So that's when the whole centralization happened. They tried to continue future goals as well for the beginning of the term, but in 2017, that was not carried out. So there was the LCVP MAC management at the second half. So at the beginning of the term in 2016, it was a lot of bottom-up approach, in the sense that they created a lot of hosting spaces and opportunities for people to do consultations, like the LCVPs to do consultations. But at the same time, things like commission chats and other touch points with the MCVPs and the LCVPs were not there for 2016. But in 2017, they realized that those touch points were necessary. So they went back to that. And that's why also they changed the structure to have another MCVP taking care of the network. And one of the things that we also carry out for this term is the campaign co-creation. So most of the campaigns, whether it is recruitment or it is for OGX, or OGV, we create it with the network. So we host a space where we do brainstorming, and then apart from after that, we create a campaign creation team that consolidates all the materials and the messaging, etc. In the global team, what they did was the customer flow. It was launched, the customer flow per se. So all the stages of the customer flow and the things that we needed to have in each stage to be able to be 100% customer centric. So there was a lot of focus on customer centralization. So making sure that we are putting the customer first, and that all our operations are as easy as possible for customers to interact with ISEC. And because we changed the website, we changed also we merged our registration form on isecaustralia.org to directly go to isec.org. So EXPA would have those opens, which meant that we could track more easily our digital opens. So we could track based on Google Analytics if they were coming from social media channels. We could track also from the form where people could say that they heard about us on social media and things like that. So it allows us to have more information in terms of digital performance. Other things that happened, they started doing market research by the LCs. So at the same time, this allowed to create customer personas, which is something that we use still as context for every time that we create a campaign to understand our customers. Then they did a marketing summit, and this marketing summit also revolved a lot around the Facebook centralization and how everything was going to work, because it was the first time that they did the centralization. And in that year, the LCVP Max also supported ICX. So they had both operations for OGX and ICX. There was a word of mouth growth. So this was also tracked because of the new sign-up form that we had. And lead nurturing evolution. So there was some emails that came from the international, ISEC International. So every time that someone changed status on EXPA, they would get sent an automatic email. And apart from that, We used Get Response, which was also from ISAC International at that time. We introduced the live chat into isacaustralia.org, so it's actually a little tab where people can type their questions, and we get we can be online as well and chat with our customers as to try to be as well more customer centric. There were a few PR appearances from the MCP. So the MCP of 2016-17 went to a few events related to the Sustainable Development Goals. The psychographic segmentation, so this was tied with the market research on number 10. So this allowed them to really lay out the type of per people that we attract and what are their psychographics, so that we could speak to them in a more direct way and taking them into consideration when we're creating our campaigns. And then because of the change in the website, there were more focuses on landing pages. So we had landing pages for specific products, for specific opportunities, for specific entities, so we could focus more our communication based on the products and the entities and the projects that we wanted to showcase. All right.
Yep. So I will tell you more about like our context and the first semester, like first half of the year of the term.
Mm-hmm. So first semester 2017, we started both as MCVP Digital Marketing and MCVP Marketing. So we were both doing marketing.
One thing which you need to know that like I was selected as MCVP PD at the beginning, but like after our planning, as structures follow strategy, and we decided to focus on something, then I changed my role, and it's at the beginning it was about customer understanding. So I was doing like focus groups, so I was traveling across Australia to different states and to do focus groups to gain as many insights about our customers and actually how we can improve our internal processes to simply to get to deliver more life-changing experiences. And then like I became LCVP marketing. So I was responsible for for the while, like Patricia, she was responsible for commission, mm-hmm. for network, and then we switched, and then I was responsible for that. And Patricia, she was responsible for digital marketing, and I was responsible for physical marketing and all the activities. Yeah, so firstly, it's really, really important. We had to focus only on OGV. So OGV was only our product, which we had like strategy, plans, and so on. So we directly focus only on this product because by doing research, we decided and we realized that this is the product with the huge potential, which I think Australia has. And then we continue weekly commission chats. So every week, at 10 p.m., we had like weekly commission chats. Then we have also strong synergy work as OGV products. So we didn't work, let's say, separately. All our plans are based on the OGV product, yes, as the whole. So we didn't have like individual plans at the beginning, but we work as OGV. So we also have like this super strong synergy with Adi, who is like MCVP CXP. Then we have product meetings. So of course, in terms of our synergy, so we have like weekly product meetings when we analyze all data, we drew the inferences, we analyze network, and constantly every week we decided what we need to change in order to grow and to be better and faster. And then also we have national campaign creation. So as Patricia mentioned in previous terms, we also continue that for national campaign creation, network was responsible. So we create the campaign with them. Yes, so they felt contribution, and I think it was much more powerful instead of us doing everything and just release to the network. And also we have one of our widely important goal was increase conversion rates from open to applicant from 5% to 15%. Because we believe that was the biggest bottleneck, and that's where we stuck in terms of moving forward. So we wanted to change this and to grow as much, even better. And we've end up with, so we didn't achieve 50%, but we end up with 10.5%. Yeah, and then we experiment with Facebook Live with entity partners. So Patricia, she had like a couple of Facebook Lives, like to showcase like our entity partners. So there's like Facebook lives with them, and they were talking about their projects in their countries, about country itself, what EP can do, and so on. So it boosts, I believe it boosts like our not only awareness but also our reach, and like the potential EPs could like actually see what is the job description and the project, how it looks like in the entity partners. And about entity partners, like very quickly, so we had 4, like Indonesia, Thailand, Taiwan, and Vietnam. Yes. Yeah. So then we have introduction of active campaign, CRM, email nurturing. So we came up with active campaign, which we are using currently, and I believe that Patricia, because she was responsible for that directly, so she can like tell you much more about that.
Yeah, so we decided to propose to the network this new CRM because it was most cost effective based on the other ones that we found. And we could also do email nurturing as a way of streamlining the process and making sure that we could close that gap between open to applicant. So for the first half of the semester, it was only used for email nurturing, because by the time that we finished the integration with Expa and being able to have all the contacts online, it was too late to implement the change with the network, and we felt that it was not worth to try to implement that change. What we wanted to do is focus on operations and make sure that we could grow and deliver the experiences. So we were focused more on that than actually the implementation part. So we just used it for email nurturing. But now for this peak, for the next peak for 2018, we're integrating it with the new EBs. So the new teams are coming in on February. They start their first day of the term. So we're preparing everything so that they can use Active Campaign and they can put information in there. So we have a CRM. We know where in each stage that the customers are at, and we can also, the email nurturing is going to be more segmented based on the information that we get from the contact that we have. So as an attempt to close the gap again between open to applicant, which is our major bottleneck.
Yep. And then we had like so like by focusing only on this like OGV and like simple actions, like seriously we didn't have like very extraordinary and complicated strategy. We are able to achieve like 50% of growth on opens and 62% growth on applicants, which I believe is huge success, because we're dropping in the previous term. And also when we start, so for us it was winter peak, yes, like July, yeah, winter peak. So actually in Australia, winter peak, so June, July is the biggest peak. So not as in the most, yes, no. No, what did I say?
Their summer peak is
yes.
our winter peak.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. So then we experimented with Facebook ads and Google ads, which like also like Patricia can tell you more about it later on. And also we had like functional summits for capacitation. So we organize functional summits like before our conference, just mostly for capacitation, like our network, to boost their education and like to improve our processes, which I believe also was success. So do you want to say something about Facebook ads and Google ads?
Yeah, I think we can talk a little bit before we go into the plans for next year. We can talk a little bit about what happened not month by month, but essentially at the beginning, in the middle, at the end of 2017. So before that, I'll tell you a little bit about Facebook ads and Google ads. So essentially what we did was investing in an expert that could like guide us through the process of Facebook ads, because we were investing a lot of money and really not getting a lot of results. We were not measuring it properly either. And it's just because we didn't know, and the previous year didn't know as well. It was just an experimentation from the beginning. So what we thought was like, okay, if we're going to actually put this amount of money, then we better put it in first in knowing what works and what doesn't, so that we can get the results, so that the money that we invest, at least we see some results. Because I remember once we invested a lot of money, we didn't get any results, and we were like, okay, no, we need to stop this and actually think about how to make it work. So after we started investing in this person, it started coming in, like the amount of money that we were putting for each Facebook ad was way less than we had before, and the results that we were getting were higher. At the same time, this was almost at the end of like November, December, where like the operations was not as strong as ideal. Like it was not as strong as in the previous months. So we're not sure like how much of the activity got carried on, and if the next step would be actually analyzing like how many of those opens became approved, and actually how many completed the experience as well. And with Google AdWords was the same thing. So we invested also in a person that handles Google Ads. So we got a grant from AdWords. They give you $10,000 worth of ads if you're a nonprofit. So because we proved our nonprofit status, they gave us the grant. And then again, the same thing. It was a lot of time consuming and not really knowing what we were doing. And Google, if you're not spending their money, they just take it away from you. So because we didn't want to do that, we also found a company, a provider that actually does Google Ads for nonprofits. So they are experts in handling like Google grants, not money from private companies. So we've been as well, as soon as we hired them, they put all the AdWords in place, and we started getting opens as well from that, direct opens. So you could see the immediate results. Okay, so at the beginning of 2017, we started, like we said, after planning, like Casper's role was still undecided. After planning, we decided that I was going to take over the network and digital marketing. So I was doing both marketing as a whole, and Casper was going to take more of like an experimental role to make sure that we could understand the audience that we were targeting. So things like his role was like market share increase. So the idea was to do research projects such as focus groups and other type of projects in which he could get information, like we could get information about if we were targeting the right people and how could we increase our market. Like if there were specific demographics that we were not targeting, that could have a potential like big pool of our customers. And so you went, I don't know if you want to talk about that project.
Yeah, so mostly I went to Victoria and to Western Australia, and I had focus groups. But actually, from this perspective, I wouldn't say it was very successful, because not many people actually show up and not many people attended. So even though people sign up, even though if we had what was the word?
Incentives?
Yes, exactly. So like people sign up and they express interest that they would like to attend. Like at the end, they didn't come. Yes. So like, I mean, like I had like focus groups with like 2 people, like 8 people, 5 people, but like all of the insights, we just confirm that most of the factors that we as ISACers, like our network, we don't follow up with the people, and we don't contact like all of our opens, like all our customers. So like most of the things we just confirm that we don't do that. Like, but even if we are aware, if we know something, it doesn't mean that we do something. So that was the biggest issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and after that also we had like the support from like alumni about marketing, and like I got to know that actually like focus groups is not like super effective because like you put the people into the artificial atmosphere and so on. Mm-hmm. So then we actually like change our plans as well.
Yeah. So then after that was around August, and then during monthly review we realized, okay, we're actually not getting as much information as we wanted. This is not really working 100%, so let's change our strategy. So our strategy was now that Casper was going to take care of physical marketing and network management, and I was going to focus more on digital marketing. So that's when most of the projects for digital marketing came in, because I had the capacity to focus on those after Casper took care of the network and shifted his role to that. So I think by then, like, it was way better in terms of the outcomes, because having a person focusing 100% on the network, that meant also that the network is more supported, and there were different things like resources that he was able to create. And I guess the only downfall for that is that having two people as marketing, it resulted in not having as much synergy between digital and physical marketing. So then people from the network didn't know what was going on. I did not take as much of an updating approach or like involvement approach. I was very much in my projects, like trying to get those projects up and running. So the downside of that was that there wasn't as much synergy between physical and digital. What else?
I think like it would be good to add about the network. So like, to be honest, we didn't have, let's say, very complicated strategies. So we didn't spend time to like create like any perfect tools and just release to the network. We create something, we start and release just to get feedback and like improve, like tweak it like as soon as possible. So we're always like open and try to like create something based on the network needs, and we want to like do something very simple and like easy to understand, that actually like people can like easily implement this like as soon as possible. I think, what else?
Yeah. I think that was mainly what happened in 2017. And then from the digital marketing side, so we were able to have that investment on Facebook ads, Google ads. Also, well, we already had the centralization done from the previous term, so we just continued that and revamped it. So started having more strategies for having more brand awareness. So things like the Facebook Live came in as well. And then always trying to figure out a way in which the EST and the LCBPs can work together. That's still, I would say, a challenge, because we haven't found the best way. I still believe that there is a better way. And I will try different things also in 2018 to make it work. But right now, I don't think, like, a lot of people from AP region especially ask us about like, how do we work together with the LCBPs and the EST? And it is good at the moment. It works. At the same time, it could be a lot better. And then we also started the digital marketing working group. So in Australia, in Australia, the governance is actually taken by the LCPs. So LCPs are chairs of the subcommittees, such as like the exchange standards to track exchange standards. They have also the compendiums and things like that. And we created one this is not part of governance, but it's more part of decision making for the LCPs. So the digital marketing working group is still in like the works with. I'm still working with the LCPs to understand how they can influence or like report on what the investments that we've made with digital marketing, because we were investing quite a lot of money in that. So to know and report on the results, and they give recommendations for the network. So ideally with this group is an unbiased opinion, because if I was doing their reporting, it could be biased. So and not only me, but the people to come, like to have a system in which like we can guarantee there's no bias towards these results. So that's something that we put in place in 2017.
Actually, one more thing. So about these physical activities, so we also focus on in creating the stall checklist and improving that. And also like, because I think in Australia we focus in terms of marketing from where we get the biggest amount of opens. So we have like word of mouth, so like recommendation from friends, but also like from the stalls at universities and lecture batches. So we also like focus on these simple things, that how we can improve that, but not taking a lot of effort, but bringing huge results.
Yep. Cool. So now I'm going to talk about the 2018 goals and plans. So like I told you, for replanning on December, so for this week, we decided to actually have Casper as MCVP partnership development. And I am, again, MCVP digital marketing, also taking care of physical marketing and the network. So for 2018, these are our goals, and you should have seen it in OGV's or customer experience webinar. So like I said, for this have is only one MC VP. So that's myself. And for the main plans that we have, the strategies that we have for this year is IR 100% focused on international, on our entity partners. We want to have it from the beginning, like from marketing, understanding what are the projects that we're going to be focusing on, because especially because this peak as well, it's a very small window in which people can go on a project. So we want to make sure that the projects that we promote are projects in which people can go, and it's very, very clear the timeline, so that they are most likely to go, because they understand that they can still make it, or maybe they will be missing like 1 week of school, and also because that way we can attract people for the specific entities that we want to send people to, and we can guarantee process time. The standards delivery could be better because we have established rapport with the IR partners. So this is our main focus. I'm working very, very close with Adi, the MCVP CXP, and I'm having as much relationship with the entity partners as he has, so that we can have the same information and have and I can promote the opportunities that they're going to send us. So we're going to continue the Facebook ads and Google ads investments and see how they have been affecting in terms of results, if they have actually been qualified leads or not. So now the lead nurturing, last year it was a lot of myself doing the email nurturing, because like I said, there was not a lot of communication between both. So this year we're integrating it into LCs. So it's going to be nationally driven, but LC customized. So LCs can put things like their projects that are coming up, if they have info sessions, if they have their own LC partners. So we have the entity partners, but if they have their own LC partners and projects that they are promoting because they are in contact with them, they can do that as well, and they can have their own data. So they can actually see their data, how many people have opened, clicked, etc., so that OGX can use this information. OGV can use this information for when they're called. They know which type of projects they have looked at based on the emails and stuff like that. So we're using BA for attraction. So I think this is a very customer flow process. So things that we do this time, what we want to do while our people are on exchange, because in Isaac in Australia timeline, most of our exchange participants are abroad within December, January, and Feb. So February, this upcoming month, is the last weeks that people are abroad. So what we want to do is make sure that we can showcase as much as possible. So we're planning to do Facebook Lives and Instagram stories, talking to EPs that want to showcase while they're abroad. We're bringing a seeder as well for creating really, really cool materials based on our entity partners. So this time, like I said before, we've been carrying out for years the national campaign, and from the past MC term, the actual co-creation of campaigns. So we're going to do the same thing, but this time, except for a campaign, is going to be like the product package creation. So we're going to be looking at the entity partners and the destinations that people can go to, and creating sort of like a story as to why people should go to these places, where's the impact that they can make, where are the gains that they have going into these destinations, and we're going to make a story so that the product becomes way more appealing than just like go abroad, volunteer with Isaac, etc. This time, like I said, I want to focus on having a heavier EST and LCVP involvement in digital strategy. So I have 2 of my LCVPs are part of my EST as content strategists. So they are going to be sort of like overseeing all the strategy digitally, and that will allow us also for them to either report or talk about it on our commission chats. So ideally, this would help in synergizing both digital and physical strategies. So like I said, we're going to use Active Campaign this time for the SOP. So we're going to integrate it in our operating procedures, and ideally use it to close the gap between open to applicant. So whenever we have we build the rapport with the customer and we're following up, we know where that customer has been, and we can also follow, because like many other entities might have as well. We have like thousands of opens, but then some people are really not responsive. So instead of wasting our time calling random, like people randomly on the list, we can focus on the people that have been warm in a way, and deliver the right information based on the things that they have been looking at. And that way our pitch and our conversation becomes more tailored to them. So there's a heavy focus on LCVP capacitation. So we're going to do OGV product tour for members, for TLs, for LCVPs. I'm creating a lot of resources for SOP to make sure, like the customer flow, to make sure what to do in each customer flow. So including that, the resources that they created last year as well, making it all in one document so that next year and the years to come, they just have to refresh that document, but not create it from scratch. And marketing and OGV working closely together. So this time, like I said, the customer flow, we're doing it a lot together. We're like the communication that we have with the LCVPs, we're going to be doing some webinars together for both, which last like the first time of the term, we did not do that as much. We tried to drive the same message, but in terms of like putting people together in the same conversation or in the same like host online room, it didn't happen as much. So now we created a Facebook group where we can have communication, and we're having also like different touch points online with them both together, so that marketing can be very, very integrated into operations. So the L&D, the learning and development of the LCVPs, we're doing it together as well. IR is starting from marketing as well. So we're trying to give as much synergy as possible with marketing and OGV. We can go into the network trends, but before that, I guess like what I would have to say in terms of like general marketing for Isaac in Australia at this moment is that it is very heavily focused on the outgoing side. So we don't do any sort of B2B or handling, not even LinkedIn right now for attraction, because we're just heavily focusing not only on the outgoing side, but OGV. So this year we made a conscious decision of marketing being completely for OGV, and all the things like PR, B2B, things like that, they were not in our plans at all. Another thing is that I think that's the main one. Yeah. I would say that we have been getting more knowledgeable in digital marketing. It's still a market to tap. They're still not like our generation, open generation is still 100%, well, not 100%, but like 80%, 85% physical. But our digital opens have increased from the past. So it is slowly taking, like we're slowly learning from it. And there are things that we can take from this year as well for next year. And so I would say that digital has been a focus to grow, knowing like that is a long-term strategy. That is in the long term will pay us off, not right now in the short term, because in the short term, physical strategies is the things that bring us the most amount of opens. Yeah, and then things like external events or like Youth for Global Goals and Youth Speak forums, things like that, we have not focused on either in this semester, in this year. All right, so network trends. I'm going to speak about the 2018 network. So the LCVP and MC working relationship. So I think that has improved from the past, from what I've heard in the past, not 2017, but before that. So we do things like co-creation of national campaigns. There is more communication and more synergy, I would say, with the LCVPs and the MC. The LCVPs also like help in the material creation, like they co-create everything with the network. So I think with us, so that also gives them more ownership over it. And yeah, we have like commission chats, so there's enough touch points for us to also build our relationship with the commission. So something that has been happening in this year in particular, because last year from the network trends that we were reading from last year's webinar was that actually people were merging their OGX and Mac together. But this year, they're actually having 2 VP Macs. So they've increased the amount of manpower that they put on attraction, which is interesting because increasing the amount of manpower on attraction is one thing. At the same time, the things that the VP Max that they have are one VP for digital marketing and one for physical marketing, and it's still unsure as to what the digital marketing will be doing. So even though they have identified the need of more attraction, because in the end, like, we need more volume of people, the day-to-day and job description is quite unclear on like what are the things that they're going to do, especially because most of the things are digitally are held nationally. And I proposed to be part of the EST as part of the roles, and some people applied, some people didn't apply. So I'm still looking very closely as to making sure that their role is enough and is a contribution to their goals as well. And like I said, there's not enough involvement in digital strategy or EST. So out of all the LCs that have digital marketing VPs, there's only like 2 that are part of the EST. So ideally, if they're going to have VPs of digital marketing, that they would be involved in the EST, because that's most of the digital marketing things that happen in ISIC in Australia. There's a heavy focus on stalls, lecture bashes, uni events. So physical marketing is still the main focus, and strategies have to do, like, strategies for this year. I just reviewed most of their plans. So a lot of their strategies are based on consistency. So having certain, like, enough amount of stalls, lecture bashes, uni events, which will give them the volume. So ideally, if that continues, if the plan is executed, then that should bring them the most amount of volume, because they're focusing on the things that from the past that bring them the results. And overall, they're super cute, super nice. They're adorable. I really enjoy working with them. They have really good vibes and are honestly always willing to help and ask questions if they're not sure. So I think that if you are watching this and you're thinking of doing, or if there is a position for marketing, I think that you'll enjoy working with the network, because they're really nice.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's it from us. And since there are no new participants, I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, so just, I don't know if you have questions, just feel free to approach us.
Yeah, after watching the webinar, you can comment on the post, or you can message us. That's pretty much it. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, guys, and see you soon.
Yay, bye.
Bye-bye.